Welcome back to the reality, guys. I'm your host, Billy Blinks, joined as always by my co-host, Brian.
Got it, buddy.
As you can see here in the title, we're here to talk the rebirth, the recast, the season 14 premiere of The Real Housewives of New York City, new era for New York. I liked it. I am a big Housewives fan. Now, obviously, we don't have a lot of Housewives coverage here on the channel so far. We do have some coverage back of the Ultimate Girls Trip season 1 and 2. I believe Brian and I do have that on the playlist here in the Housewives play. So you can check out our thoughts there. I've read the Housewives book. I'm currently reading Not All Diamonds and Rose, which is the oral history of the Real Housewives. So I've been a big fan. Brian relatively new to the franchise. So he's been introduced, like I said, through all those all-star shows, but this is, we thought, a great chance to kind of kick off our Housewives coverage on the channel because it's a restart for all of us, audience included, whether you are an expert or a newbie. So what we're going to do, we're going to talk about obviously what happened this episode, but I think the best way to do this is let's run through our new Housewives. We're just going to give our thoughts and we'll kind of comment on what happened in the episode involving them. All right, Bri, let's start with Bryn. I think Bryn is the main character of fun. Bryn is like Ramona or Sonia. Like, she is
hmm
goofy. She's fun. She's not taking things too seriously. She's not breaking the fourth wall, but I think she's just like, oh, if someone's mad at me, like, oh, I'm
Yeah.
gonna get. She's like doing her confessional, like, oh, I love the shoes, but I might get murdered. Like, I think she's going to be really necessary for people getting mad at her and that causing kind of random week to week drama. But I also just think she's going to be fun. What did you think of Bryn?
No, I liked her. I thought she was cool. And like you said, kind of in before pre-shows, like all these people don't have that reality TV like stench on them. So I wonder how long this will last, where she's like being this playful about people being mad at her and things like that. But I think for this season, it's gonna be pretty consistent the way she was today.
Yeah, you're saying like, let's see in season 2 or 3, she's
Yeah,
an
yeah,
absolute
yeah.
nightmare type thing. It's
Right.
interesting because we do get to watch what happens live. I know they're all on tonight, so you do get to see a little bit earlier than you would with a reunion that I'm sure they'll air at some point, pretty close to the season filming being over. I mean, airing being over.
Mhm.
But so far, like I said, she with her stuff, obviously, it's two things. It's did she exacerbate and make more out of the cheese comments that may or may not have been made? I'm pretty sure the cheese comment was made, right? I don't think that's something that would have gotten made up.
No, I don't think so.
Secondly, she was really not into going to any restaurants that aren't hip and on the scene right now, basically, that she couldn't find on TikTok. And I figured out she's definitely talking about Catch. Catch is like a chain, a semi chain, but it's an upscale place. It's kind of like a Capital Grill, Bry, or and probably a little bit more expensive type thing, like a Del Frisco's esque, where they're in a few different cities, but they're big time places. I agree with Erin, who got pissed off with that. That kind of stuff though, it shows like the immaturity, and it will drive some of these women crazy.
Yeah, for sure. Because you sent over the menu. I thought the place looked fine to me. Like,
Good sushi,
yeah,
seafood,
and I think she even said
wagyu.
it best. Yeah, she said it best at the end. It's like, who cares where we eat? It doesn't matter. Like, you're supposed to go with like the people you're trying to have a good time. And yeah, I'm leaning towards liking what you said. Her name was Jenna. So,
If you talk about Erin,
yeah, I'm talking about Erin. I think right now she might be my favorite, but for tonight's episode, she's my probably my number one. Enjoyed.
yeah, I think I have Erin and Bryn as my tied for first so far. Very different, and it's funny because they were the two that were in conflict. But
hmm
then I thought the scene with the chair I thought was hilarious because it
hmm
is like a really funny reality TV kind of like karma moment because Erin rolls in there and is like wants to bully this girl around a
Yeah.
little bit and try to be real stern. And then she screws up, and the only person that's gonna have her back is that girl. And the
hmm
girl's like, I could screw you right now if I wanted to.
Right.
The chair wasn't broken. It wasn't goof. There was just no support. It was just a cushion chair. I don't know if it's that like a display chair. Like,
Yeah. Some of the places they were at were weird today.
oh, you're talking about we saw size brownstone in
Mhm.
Brooklyn. We were at that was the party was Jenna's
Jenna's
place.
house. Yeah.
Jenna, I think they said she lived in like Columbus Square, or was Jenna? Yeah,
It
I think
wasn't
she said
Soho.
I have this stuff as we go. So she might have been
Okay,
in
all right.
Soho as well. When we get down to the
Maybe
things,
she's from there. That's what her bio, like, when they said their name for the first time, it said like Soho beneath her. So I
well,
think
that's
I
where
just
that means it's where
she
they
was
live. Then, yeah, she's in
okay.
Soho. It looked like a Soho kind of thing. Those offices and things and those buildings make sense for there. Um, 387 plus pairs of shoes. She used to be the president of J. Crew. Pretty cool, honestly. I there's especially in the New York franchise, there was a history of having like very like former big time professionals or current professionals like in their
Mhm.
industries. She reminds me a lot, and if fans of the Housewives don't know who I'm talking about. She reminds me a lot of Carol from Real Housewives of New York. Used to be a big time journalist, and now her being the president of J. Crew. They talked about the Obama stuff. I thought she was about to like hate when she starts off with the Obamas. I thought for a second like she about to like start crapping on the Obamas, and then it turned out to be about the close.
Right, like
I
thanks,
was like, where's this
Obama.
going?
Yeah, I know. Wait, can I ask you something real quick? I thought the premise of this show was these women were supposed to be like married to like other like people in the city. Like half these people aren't even married. They just throw that rule out. Like,
Yeah, that's definitely something that happens over the season. So when it first started with OC, listen, when they first started with Real Housewives of OC, it was like Coto de Casa was just like this gated neighborhood. They only cast within this neighborhood, and then eventually they're like, we can't just cast in this neighborhood. And they
okay,
started casting like in the areas of Orange County. Same thing with like how they started doing, like you said, they always were married. Then they started having people getting divorced. Then they realized we can't always get these exact same types of couples or families because it gets boring. So like people in New York, like Bethany wasn't married when they brought Bethany on like season one actually too. Like so they've always had the mix, someone dating. So like Bethany was dating somebody, a guy who I think his name was Jason, who had kids, right? So there was the kind of housewife thing. So yeah, take that loosely here.
okay,
I mean, the show was originally supposed to be called Manhattan Moms when it first came out, which is interesting. And then they
that's a
literally
bad
filmed the
name.
first
That's a
season
bad
and we're
name.
like, they filmed the first season and we're like, oh, we could just make this a Housewives franchise.
Yeah,
Oh, cool.
that's a terrible name.
Well, there you go. Right. Let's move on from Jenna. What do you think of Jenna? I
I think she's cool. Her style is so strange to me. I can't because I don't know how she said she's what like in her 50s, right?
yeah, she's definitely one of the probably the
Yeah,
oldest
I don't know. I mean, but I guess this is what
40s at
comes
least.
with when you're in that profession. I guess she's like just like ahead of everything. And this is also people that we're not this style. You and I aren't seeing on a daily basis. So where we
You are
live,
not going to Paris.
yeah, I guess not. But yeah, it's just interesting to me. I have no complaints. All I'm gonna say is her style is interesting.
Jessel. Jessel is the publicist. The group says she's the good girl. Um, Jessel was real tough on her husband. Jessel and they show the previews. Like he's working, she kicks him out of the living room. When someone meets the husband for the first time, they're like, oh, "I've heard a lot of good things about you," and then they're like, "Oh, not from her." And she's like, "No, I don't say nice things about him." We see the preview, Bry, that he's like gonna go somewhere for a while because he needs alone time. Like this is probably the rockiest marriage shown, at least in the premiere.
Probably one of the only marriages. But yeah, I know. Yeah, I mean, just
Shots fired.
another thing I noticed is I thought some of the guys like that they're with are lacking. Like I thought like some of these women would be with a lot better looking men, and I just.
Well,
But I think
Jessel,
divorce.
so we're talking about lives in Chelsea. Praveet is her husband.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to promote divorce on the show, but I think that is like also like a pretty good plot line for drama, which I know the show loves. So it's probably going to be a major point of the show. Well, what do you think? Like mid season, this stuff will start happening.
I don't. I mean, yeah. I mean, that's the seasons. I mean, I'm not sure how long they made this first season. I mean, Housewives seasons can usually stretch on, but so I wouldn't see that happening right away. Um, Everything always in Housewives gets exacerbated by the in between season, and more so like the social media reactions and commenting from the season itself. So the next like when you see them in the reunion, like I that's where you see the most drastic shifts is from like when the
Yeah.
cameras turn off until when they go back to a reunion usually, and then from the reunion to the beginning of a season when all the stuff happens in
Mhm.
between because they only film for like 4 months of a year, right? So they have 8 months of stuff kind of in between that and live and all. So I would think that would probably be a later on in the season, but hey, if take it
You
early
never know.
too. I mean, I'm sure that that's probably going to be we're going to see her have that type of relationship probably with him for a while to see him dip out. And interestingly enough, wait for it to be like when they're on camera. So maybe she's like starts to really hype it up for the camera.
But yeah, for
I hope
sure.
not for the kids, especially. You know what I mean?
They have two
Um,
kids named Rio. Two of the girls have kids named Rio. Did you notice that?
yeah, that's right.
Thought that was interesting.
We're gonna need initials here, like The Bachelor.
All right. And she has twins, so always I'm as a twin parent,
Twins
always
Basil.
interested. Yeah, twins Basil.
Only other thing really about Jessel this episode is she really wanted to be Switzerland between Aaron and Bryn. I'm not really understanding why she thought it was going to be that huge of a confrontation.
Yeah, the fight about cheese.
The cheese tax.
Like who cares?
Sai, we have listed here the main 2 points they made about Sai was that she is an influencer and that she might be a little bit aloof. She is in Brooklyn, grew up there. We get to see her interact with Bryn. Sai claims to never have made. She's the one who apparently made the cheese comment. Sai claims to have never made any cheese comments. I think there was a cheese comment.
I wish we saw more of it.
Yeah,
Like, I wish they just kind of were talking. They kind of just got thrown into that.
I do appreciate that it was like that though, that we didn't get this like a bunch of just introduction to
Yeah,
the
like
kids. Here's
bold. Like this
I
is what
like
I
that
do in
there
my
was
day to
already
day.
an active story going in that maybe we
Mm-hmm.
came on like page 3 or like 10 minutes into a movie, right? Like it's a little
Yeah.
bit skip the BS, right? Let's get right into it, which I appreciate. So, and
Mm-hmm.
I hope when I go watch what happens live like tomorrow that Andy and them like I want to see if you get any vibes that anyone's like not getting along, if there's any
Right.
snippiness between anybody, because that might be a big indication of how things may develop during the season. So I'm going to look
Mm-hmm.
out for that. Check some things out. Probably throw some things on TikTok as well. Make sure you're subscribed to our TikTok. We're covering all the reality TV news and other supplemental things we don't hit in our videos.
The
Um,
husband, real quick, the husband is living his best life.
oh my God.
I would like to know what he's done. He did. He's retiring, just watching kids. That sounds awesome. That's a
Oh,
dream.
no, he's chilling, man. That is the dream. I've always said that. I would totally
This
like,
page would be a lot more productive if Bill and I were both retired,
or at least if we were just like stay at home
and
dads,
our
if we
wives
weren't
are making all
working.
the money.
If we weren't working at all, yeah, and we
Uh,
were just at home with the kids, like please, them kids, we'll blur them out if we have to. We'll get so much stuff done. It would be, oh, we'd be like live on like mornings. We'd have show slot times,
yeah,
like
yeah, right.
um, Uba, Uba, the model and entrepreneur. We didn't really get a lot of Uba this week. I didn't feel like we really got to dive super into her. We got to hear a little about when they were all having the sex talk. I think Uba referred to herself as a starfish. Um, but you know, that was a funny conversation overall too. I thought with the chef trying to cook and
Yeah,
listening
that
to
was
them.
funny. You just kept hearing her, and the banana. Like she can't say bananas. She was just saying like I love banana,
Yeah, but
but
she actually loves. But they all thought she was
yeah,
like making an innuendo, and she's like, "No, I have like 5, 6 bananas a day." They're like,
yeah.
"Are you
If she just
constipated?"
added the S, it wouldn't have been as funny.
I love banana. Yeah, so looking forward to learning more about Uba as the episodes roll on. And obviously, Erin, we've talked about at length. Brian and I are both big fans of Erin. So if we were to power rank them, Brian, I would say so far the A's for this week would probably be Bryn and Erin. B's, I'll give Jenna, the boss, a B,
Uba.
and Uba is fine with me for a B. And then I think C this week would be Jessel and Sai.
Yeah, just
Nothing really anti-Sai, but if the cheese comment or not, I didn't really get a lot else out of it. But that is subject to change week to week on our power rankings. Maybe we'll make that a TikTok thing each week. We'll power rank the Housewives. We'll do that. That'll be fun.
do they ever do? Because I've been seeing a lot of Bachelor stuff. Do they like have like a page where they show like confessional times and things like that? Like who's
I'm
getting
sure
the
there
most
is.
time?
I'm sure there's a Twitter account for it. If not, Logan can do it. I'll get him on a
I
new
doubt he would watch
picture.
the show.
Um, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. I mentioned the TikTok as well. Make sure you subscribe there and check out our Instagram and Twitter for all your social needs. We cover everything and anything reality TV from The Bachelorette to Vanderpump Rules to Below Deck to The Ultimate Fighter to Love Island, The Challenge, Amazing Race, Survivor, any of those type of shows. Big Brother even coming later this summer. we're there for it. We go on a bunch of other podcasts. Check out some of our friends as well. You can see some of our interviews and other podcast appearances on our socials. But until next time, for myself and Brian, thank you. Peace.